Did you know that once a Labour MP faked their own death? I'm on a walk to tell you the story. In 1974, rumours emerged that John Stonehouse, Labour MP and former cabinet minister, was spying for communist intelligence services. While he denied the charges at the time, it's now seen as highly likely that he was passing information to the Czechoslovakian spy agency. On top of spying, John Stonehouse was facing a whole range of other pressures. That included his businesses failing miserably and an extramarital affair that he tried to keep secret from his wife and children. Shortly after being elected to the House of Commons in 1974, Stonehouse flew to Miami for a business meeting. The thing is, Stonehouse never showed up to the meeting, and instead, his clothes were found washed up on a beach. It was believed that Stonehouse had drowned, and despite the lack of a body, obituaries were published in British newspapers. As it turned out, Stonehouse had used the identity of one of his recently deceased constituents. Using his fake identity, he opened bank accounts and created a passport for himself and flew over to Australia for a new life. This was all going so well until a nosy neighbour in his apartment complex reported him to the police, thinking that this weird, slightly posh Englishman was actually the fugitive Lord Lucan. Stonehouse was arrested in Melbourne on Christmas Eve of 1974 and was extradited back to the UK in July of the following year. When John Stonehouse returned, he continued on as a Labour MP, blaming his disappearance or faked death on a mental episode. The Labour government, with a very small majority, decided to preserve his party whip. However, to compound Stonehouse's shamelessness, he left himself, only a few months later, to join the English National Party, rendering the Labour government a minority one. John Stonehouse's prosecution finally arrived in 1976, where he conducted his own defence, ultimately though to no avail, as he was charged to 7 years in prison. In 1979, only 3 years after his conviction, Stonehouse was released for reasons cited as good behaviour and ill health. This didn't stop him from living for another 8 years, where he built a public persona out of being the man that faked his death, finding himself on TV, writing books, and on the radio. John Stonehouse died at the age of 62 in 1988, or at least that's what he'd like us to think.